You're listening to the ESO Network, your station for all things geek.
Ian, look at this.
What, it's a police box. What on earth is he doing here? I mean, these things are usually on the street. I feel it. I feel it. You feel it?
Faint vibration.
It's alive.
Earth Station Who, a fun mashup exploring over 60 years of the Doctor Who universe. Hold on tight. You never know where the crew of the TARDIS is going next.
Hi everyone, my name is Mike Faber. I'm the host of the Earth Station Who podcast. We're a Doctor Who podcast. We've been broadcasting for the last 13 years, and we've been talking about all things Doctor Who, but in no particular order. You know, the cool thing about Doctor Who is it's open to everybody, and it accesses to everyone. And if you don't like what's going on with Doctor Who right now, it'll reinvent itself in a year or two. And that's the great thing about it. There's always a new doctor, there's always a new showrunner, there's always new companions. It's all about reinvention and reinventing itself. And tonight we're going to be talking about Doctor Who in the next coming year and what's going to be happening and where it's going to go beyond. And that's the cool thing. I have two wonderful moderators up here with myself. Let's say hi to Mary Ogle.
Hello, everybody.
And of course, subbing for Mr. Mike Gordon, who couldn't make it down to Pensacon this time, is Mr. Dave Chapman.
Hello, everybody.
He's our Canadian friend.
Howdy.
So if you say howdy, you have to go howdy, A.
Howdy, eh?
Yeah. So let's get started. Doctor Who currently had a very successful season this last year. There's a lot of haters out there. There's a lot of negative press about it, but Disney Plus sponsored it for the first time from the specials on, and the ratings just came out and it did very well. From the specials with David Tennant to Ncuti's first season and his Christmas special. I think Doctor Who is on the verge of a new era of success.
Absolutely.
And some people might not agree with it. Some people, oh, Doctor Who's too woke. Doctor Who is...
That's my uncle.
Yeah. Well, yeah, exactly. And what I want you guys to do, that's why I'm sitting up here in front on the table instead of behind the desk and everything talking at you. I want to talk with you. And that's the cool thing about it is let's have a discussion about this. We've got a brand new season. We're less than 2 months away from a new season of Doctor Who. We have a brand new companion coming on. We also have a new spin-off coming on for Doctor Who this fall. So, I don't know, you look surprised.
Well, I thought I heard something about one, but they were saying it was only going to be in BBC Player.
No.
So that's not the one I'm thinking of. Okay.
No. There's a spin-off that's come, The War Between Land and Sea.
Okay.
And it's going to be featuring basically Unit versus the Sea Devils. And so there's a lot of rumors around it. There's rumors about other doctors popping up in it. There's rumors about past companions appearing in it. And so we don't know. They've been very tight-lipped about it. They've had, the set was closed, so people wouldn't get the news out of it and everything, which is really awesome. And, I'm looking forward to seeing what they come up with, because the last spin-off that they did for Doctor Who didn't do well. The last spin-off was Class. And it had no class.
We just pretend that one doesn't exist.
Come on over here so you can people and everything.
We just pretend class doesn't exist.
There you go. What's up?
Oh, so I guess a comment / a question.
Yeah.
The big thing that I see, looking at Doctor, the recent casting over the past few years,
right,
is there's been a lot. We've seen a lot of firsts. We had Jodie Whittaker, the first female Doctor.
Correct.
David Tennant, the first actor to play one version of the Doctor, thinking about a completely different version of the Doctor.
Correct.
Now we've got Ncuti Gatwa, our first queer Doctor, and technically the first black Doctor. I say technically because it was Joe Martin, but
Right.
he is the first one in the lead role as the Doctor, and I just sit here and I feel like it's only a matter of time before we see our first American Doctor.
I think you're going to be. It's going to be a long time before.
I didn't say it was going to happen right away, but
I think you have a chance more of seeing a pet rock Doctor than an American Doctor right now.
You might get an American writer. Because right now, I think there's only been 2 Americans that have officially written for Doctor Who, maybe 3.
Exactly.
So it's that we might see more of, but I can't see. Maybe a companion.
Technically, Harry was an American. And so, it was pretty big. You had with the 11th Doctor, you had him filming in America for the first time and everything. So, and that was huge.
And we had Barrowman.
You did have Barrowman. And Barrowman, yeah, because he's Scottish. But So, and exactly, but Barrowman's everything. So, and that's the great thing about it. And and so it's kind of cool with that. But it's also we have a lot of firsts, like you said. You also had Russell T Davies coming back, as a showrunner. That hasn't been done before. You didn't have that. And it's pretty amazing with Doctor Who, with, how worldwide of a phenomenon Doctor Who is now. It used to be Doctor Who was all British. It was, you knew it only in the UK. When I was in high school and they showed Doctor Who on PBS at 11 p.m. at night, I felt like I was the only one out there who was watching Doctor Who. Because if I did an artwork project or something and I had the Doctor in it, and I would everyone would be like, oh, Doctor Who, well, that's with the funny aliens with the zippers on the back and stuff like that.
Wrong.
No, they weren't. But I didn't think there were any other Whovians out there. Now there's Whovians all over the world, which is just amazing. So and that's what's great about it. And I think, the promotion that the BBC and Disney are doing, is phenomenal. You're seeing billboards, you're seeing on buses. You were, for this last season.
The TARDIS pop-ups.
Exactly.
And that increased worldwide profile of the show is I think it's only a matter of time. It might not be the next Doctor or even the Doctor after that, but I think eventually we are going to see eventually an American Doctor, Canadian Doctor, international Doctor.
I think you have a better chance of seeing a Canadian Doctor before an American Doctor, in all reality. And Dave,
It'll be me. It'll be me. I cannot confirm nor deny the possibility of that rumor.
And so, and that's,
Feel free to spread it though.
I think that's part of the fun. I'm curious, let's get a show of hands. How many people liked the last season of Doctor Who? You haven't seen it yet?
No.
It's a big
day. You want to see
We're going to convert you, so it's okay.
Oh, no, I want to. I'm just waiting for her.
Okay. Oh, it's your fault. Got it.
Yes.
I feel like you get thrown under the bus here.
She watches clips, so she
Okay.
watches things.
So you like the last
You watch this on
season more
TikTok.
than the Jodie season? Okay, well that's, we like to make fun on our show about batching signals, so it's like, and that's part of the fun of it,
That was what I heard with her, was just good doctor, bad writing, good acting.
We've always said that. We think Jodie was a phenomenal doctor. I think she was great, but she was given crap stories and crap writing.
10 minutes and 13 seconds, just for the podcast record of how long it took before we started doing the Chibnall.
Totally surprising.
Totally surprising. Exactly, right?
But that's the thing is, she was loaded with too many companions to start with, and she also had, like you said, bad stories, but there were some brilliant stories in there. I love the episode where they introduced the Joe Martin Doctor, and because the whole big thing with that one was, oh, Barrowman's back, oh, the Jadoon are back, and you thought that was great, that was the whole big thing. And then Chibnall actually, and I'm giving Chibnall a compliment on this book, and those folks at home could actually, mark it and celebrate. He pulled one on us about Joe Martin being a doctor that we had never seen before, that we didn't know if she was the first doctor before the first Doctor, or if she was a future incarnation.
Yeah, they never specified.
Did they ever reveal which one she was?
No.
Although she has stated that she came early.
Right.
She came before, is according to her. Whether that
Yeah, but it was never.
remains, it was never officially stated.
It's not official,
Yeah.
exactly, because
It's time travel. Was any official thing you like to sit on a butterfly and change it?
Yeah.
well, exactly.
Yeah,
And,
it's no real thing.
and that gets into the whole thing because she had a police box, TARDIS, and supposedly the first Doctor, when they went to the junkyard back in 1963, the TARDIS got stuck into that shape. And so, how did she get it that way? So that whole timeless child thing, let's forget about it.
I think it had a lot of potential.
Very much so.
Right, and it was not executed well.
No.
If it would have been great. I have two different theories with the timeless child thing, and you guys can laugh at me or whatever about it. But one, the timeless child was actually the master, and that it was basically he was trying to pin everything on the Doctor type thing.
That the master was trying to pin everything on?
Yeah. That trying to take it off of him type thing. So that was my first theory. Second theory is the timeless child was Susan, and that's the reason the Doctor left Gallifrey, was to get her away from
To save Susan.
from being tortured with all the regeneration processes they were putting her through and all the testing and psychological stuff. He was getting her away from it. And I think that actually would have made more sense. And that would have been great then to tie Carol Ann Ford back into Doctor Who. Because for those who don't know, Carol Ann Ford played Susan, the Doctor's granddaughter, type thing.
And it would explain who the mother is, because we never really get why she's a granddaughter.
Exactly.
Right.
So there's your empty hole there.
Exactly. But whatever,
Yeah.
it is what it is. Or as we like to say, because Doctor Who.
Wibbly wobbly, timey wimey.
Exactly. So we had another question? I thought I saw a hand. Okay.
I'm sorry, I just want to
What's up?
timeless child that you mentioned. The other kind of plot hole that I've always followed that is like the vibe that I've always got for it is that the Doctor isn't like a timeless child. That I kind of thought the implication is that their capacity for regeneration is and always has been infinite. But then why do they need to get another set of regenerations when 11 was going to be out? They wouldn't need to do that.
The reason the whole thing for the regeneration limit was at the time when they created it, it was the fourth Doctor.
Right.
And, it was a typical TV show. Doctor Who had been on for, at that time, 13 years. And they were like, they're not going to make it past it.
We're never going to get that
We're never going to get that far, so we don't have to worry. Let's just say 12 regenerations and everything. Then the show just kept on going and going and going. Then they ran into a little bit of a plot hole. And so that's why. And so now, obviously, the Doctor has infinite regenerations and everything. Because they got to that at the end of the Matt Smith thing. What's up?
So I was just going to go back to listing the ones that Jody's episodes that were great. For me, one of my favorites is the one with Yaz's grandmother when they went back to partition. That was
that was
a brilliant one.
Really smart. That was a really, really good. I didn't, I wanted really like the Rosa Parks episode. And I thought, oh, they're going for a really good historical part, but the villain in it was horrible.
Yeah, but the rest of the story was good.
Yeah.
I mean, I still really like that episode.
Yeah.
And there were parts of Flux I really did like.
I'm always down for Weeping Angel though. Anything with the Weeping Angels.
That's the one thing. Flux made the Weeping Angels scary again.
Yes.
And everything. Because they
know, it's on fire.
Well, exactly. And that's one of the things I thought, because towards the end of the Moffat era, the whole thing with the Angels, like going after Rory and Amy and the hotel and the Statue of Liberty was an angel. It was like, no.
I like that episode. I don't care what you say. Say that every time.
I know.
And liking is not the same as the angels are not scary anymore.
No. Now they are.
Exactly.
Yeah.
These are two different sets of things, although a giant weeping angel is kind of terrifying in and of itself.
Yeah.
Any weeping angel.
Yes, exactly.
I know it's my case with the Daleks. The worst they can do is kill you.
Yes. Well, the thing, and that's what I loved about Stephen Moffat's stories, is he made things scary again. He made it scary to go.
You made everyday things scary.
Like the dark. Or a statue, anytime you went by a nursery and they had statues, my son was like, "Don't blink, Dad. Whatever you do, don't blink."
We had
Or how scary just losing your memory is.
It's like, plasticine. And my husband would move it around.
Right. Or
Getting closer.
how many people out there now are scared of gas masks, or when you see one, you go, "Are you my mom?" And everything. So it's just awesome type stuff, and it was cool to see Stephen Moffat back for 2 episodes so far, and and that's the wonderful thing about his stories is he takes everyday things, makes it scary. Now, yes, landmines are scary anyway, but now he means, he made it, a whole episode is just the doctor standing on one leg trying to balance himself on it. And it was a fun story. There was a lot of loopholes that they didn't answer this last season. And I'm hoping they're going to get it. Like, who's Mrs. Flood?
I'm sure they're going to go farther with that.
Yeah.
So, my theory is Mrs. Flood is actually Missy. That's
Do you think there's a secret book somewhere at Doctor Who headquarters that has all these answers?
No, definitely. I think specifically not. I think they've avoided doing that. It's like, look what I did. No, no interns.
Everybody starts over and invents their own.
Oh, Doctor Who history has been so rewritten over the 61 years.
And it will always be.
I was going to say, it's like, you have doctors, you're like, after that season ends, you're like, I didn't love that one. I find that every one I did not like, when I go to do a rewatch, after a couple seasons have passed, I have a whole new appreciation for the Doctor, because then I'm looking at it through the eyes of the next story writer, the next season, and seeing what they picked up on and what they pulled to try to keep continuity. So I was never a fan of Matt Smith. I don't know why. It just wasn't my favorite. Was not my favorite.
And that's okay.
But I love him now. He is David Tennant. Well, David Tennant will always be my favorite, but he's right under David Tennant. And but I'm also the kid that I got back into it with David Tennant, so that's probably why he's my favorite.
Okay.
That's how I found it.
Doctor?
Well, that is it. Sorry, David Tennant. My mom would watch the late night ones, but I never really watched it. Like I was like, oh, But so when I really sat down,
that's the reason why they're colorizing the old series.
But what do you think? What changed for you? Why did you see Matt Smith with new eyes?
For me, I just thought he was so not caring. No, I didn't feel like he wanted to be there. And then when I went back and watched it, especially this last time, because I did a complete redo, before the special came out, and it just, I don't know, everything about it was just seemed different. Like I was just seeing it through different eyes after watching Jodie's
You
season.
feel like the actor didn't want to be there or the character didn't want to be there?
Both.
Really?
Like, I mean, like, I don't know how to, like, I guess more the character, but when I, like I said, when I saw it again, I never got that feeling. I guess it was such a different play on the Doctor than the previous ones that I was like, but now, like, so there's no Doctor I can say I don't like. There's something I like about every one of them, and I find more when I do a rewatch.
Have you watched The Sixth Doctor yet?
I still have not delved into the originals.
There's something
The storylines are nothing.
This is the kind of one where you can't tell the players with us.
No.
I have a recommendation for you.
Alright.
When it comes to watching classic Doctors, and I've said it before, I'll say this anytime an opening comes in, watch them backwards. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, and so on. Because the storytelling of the 60s, as you even pointed out, it was just black and white. The storytelling of the 60s is not the storytelling of today.
And the pacing.
Yeah.
So if you go backwards by Doctor, that culture shock
Eases you
in.
Oh, very much.
Yeah.
Because there's even, in the old series, it was more of a setup as 30-minute cliffhangers.
Yes.
And so those stories, you had episodes, some of them were 10 episodes long, some storylines, or I think the longest one was, 12?
Yeah.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah.
Not the time.
Yeah, the Dalek Master Plan. And that was the first Doctor era. And it's just, so there's long drawn out stories. So you have to be prepared for that.
Mm-hmm.
It's a different, because now it's 1 hour and you're done with stories.
Maybe
every once in a while you get a 2-parter. That's what I love about Paulie's, one of his final seasons.
Yeah.
The whole season was all 2-parters, and you had the classic cliffhanger in that.
Capaldi wasn't my favorite first either. But that was, but to be fair, to me, I felt like everyone around him was dying. Like you weren't safe with that man. You were gonna die.
Well, Clara
And then
kind of didn't have any,
Yeah.
Clara was interesting because what ended up, she had a finite story, and there was a Christmas special with Santa Claus in it.
Yeah.
That was supposed to be her final story, and the actress decided at the time then, I want to stay on for one more season, and so Moffat had to go back and rewrite all these stories, and if you notice, her character was almost completely different from that point on, and that's why the whole thing with her leaving and going off with me in the flying diner and saying, was kind of. You have a question right there.
Hi. So to kind of comment on watching the older series compared to the newer one, what you were saying about watching them backwards is actually really smart, because whenever I was getting into it, I approached it like it was the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and I started with the 60s.
Oh, I'm sorry.
And that was, oh my gosh, William Hartnell, sir. Oh my gosh. But there's this one moment from the original series that's still one of my favorites, just because of how much, they could have never predicted that this would happen in the future. But there's one episode where they go into a spaceship, and he goes over to the console, and he reads the gear, and he says, 2020! And I'm like, get out of there!
Don't know.
There's no way they could have predicted it.
Exactly. It's just fun to say.
It's a time travel show, and also, like they said, there was no way they could have predicted that Doctor Who would still even be watched, 50, 60 years later.
At that point, they hadn't even predicted that there would be a second Doctor.
Yeah, true.
Really?
That's true.
Yeah.
There was talk that they were going to end Doctor Who completely with the first Doctor and everything. So, and then they decided, let's give it a shot and try changing him, because William Hartnell's health had deteriorated so badly during his last season they were like, what are we going to do? We've never recast an actor like this before. And so they were thinking the 10th Planet was going to be the last episode. And so...
And when you watch it, you can see it.
Yeah.
Very much so.
He would forget lines. He would forget names of characters and everything. And it had gotten really bad. There's also, if you notice in that era, there are episodes where the Doctor is not even in the stories because his health was so bad and everything. And so, and then it was the same thing at the end of the second Doctor era, because if you watch the original version of the War Games, you don't see the Doctor regenerate. You just see that he could be anybody out there and everything. And then that's the last black and white episode. And they decided to give it one more shot. And they brought in John Pertwee, and that's the first color. They stranded the Doctor on Earth for almost three seasons. And he became more of a James Bond type character at that point. And they introduced the Master unit and all this stuff to make it more of like, bad guy and good guy type thing and everything. So it was real interesting at that point. Finally, during the third Doctor era, it started gaining ground and it was more solid. And then Tom Baker came in, and he stayed on for 7 years. I'm
going to blame it being on color. That's another reason to colorize them, because all the color stuff did better.
Well, but it was also the technology at the time too. So.
I know, but I'm just being snarky about that one.
Why produce a TV show in color when the majority of people in the world, if they had a TV, it was black and white?
It was still black and white.
It was still black and white.
Yeah.
And that's...
Well, exactly. Doctor Who didn't go color until 1970.
Yeah.
And color TV had already been, mostly around for at least 3 years at that time. Standard, So it was just interesting to see how that came about. I just recently saw a bootleg version of War Games, because it's not available here in the States yet. And they did a wonderful, wonderful restoration of this, taking a 10-episode thing, like 5.5 hours of Doctor Who, and condensed it to 90 minutes and everything. And it was just pretty amazing for that to be out there and everything. So, it's neat to see them bringing the other ones and colorizing it, because a lot of young people don't like watching black and white. It's just a fact, and it's very sad, but it's just a fact.
I think even more than that, it's the pacing they find really hard to
the pacing plus the black and white is not.
We even talk about it on the podcast. It's like how many scenes of them running up and down the hall can you cut out, or how many times can the Doctor and Zoe and Jamie be captured by
about 5 or 6.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So you had that all, and you still have it a little bit in the new series even. And so
but it's not the same.
Exactly. It's interesting because now you have Ncuti Gatwa as the new Doctor, and he is supposed to now be fully healed emotionally, and you don't have him angsting and stuff, whatever that is.
He's still angsting.
He's doing musical stuff.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, he's still angsting.
He cries all the time, as everyone's getting the point, and he's emotional. I think it's kind of, interesting to see the Doctor more in touch with his...
Or more willing to show it.
Yeah, exactly.
Healing.
Healing. And I liked this last season. Overall, I think there was only, there's 8 episodes, including the Christmas special.
Yeah.
The original.
Long enough. That's one thing.
Yeah.
Long enough.
I think I would be happy if they went back to like 12 episodes, and I'm hoping they'll eventually build back to that.
I can't see it. Just based on maybe 10. I don't think we'll ever get back to 12. Just if you think about it, the British system never really had long seasons ever. And nothing now. The only reason America had those big seasons was syndication. which is irrelevant now.
Yeah.
So almost every show, if you look at it, is maybe a 12-episode season, but it's usually 8 to 10.
Right.
Anything more than that is extremely unusual.
No, you watch shows like on Apple Plus or on Stars or Netflix. It is only like 8 to 10 episodes.
We were spoiled on this continent by capitalism.
Yeah.
And then capitalism killed itself. Yeah, exactly. It ate itself. But
I really think it's the actors with their contracts. They say, I'm only going to work this. I'm going to get these many days off. And that's how it works.
Well,
and there's only 8 people in British cinema anyway, so they have to.
It's not that big of an island.
Yeah, the original Doctor Who filmed year-round.
Yeah.
Really?
I mean, I remember saying I can't remember where I read that, but that was the reason that the average span for a doctor was only about 3 years ago, because it was such a grueling and demanding role.
Right. No, and it's interesting, like Dave said, Doctor Who used to be a year-round filming, and now it's, 4 months
at most, yeah.
And, and they haven't, which kind of frightens me, is Russell T has said he's written all the scripts for season 3, but they haven't started filming yet. And, all the rumors, and never believe rumors.
No, because they're the same rumors every doctor.
Yeah, every doctor, literally by the time, we're announcing the new doctor, within 2 weeks of them announcing the new doctor, so-and-so is already getting ready to be fired.
Clockwork.
BBC's unhappy with so-and-so, and it's like, he hasn't even started yet, or she hasn't even started. And that's always the silliness of it. But where I was going with that is, Doctor Who, if they're going by tradition, it's usually 3 and done for the doctors. It's been that way with almost the whole new series. And Ncuti's already done his 2nd season. So does that mean they're getting ready already to start searching for another doctor for after Ncuti, because he's, I think it's supposed to regenerate at the end of this, after not this season, but the next season. And
I can see him staying on for specifically for a 4th, just to piss off the haters. Just so all the people who are like, he's the worst doctor ever. Well, he's also the longest lived.
And that's the cool thing about it, is that, you have a lot of haters out there who are like, Doctor Who's dead to me, Doctor Who's, awful, and everything. But the thing with it is, it's going to change again. It's just hold on. It's going to be within the next 5 years. You're going to have another doctor. You're going to have another companion. I think Art Russell T Davies is on for a bit. I think, but you're also going to eventually get another showrunner and everything. One of the cool things with this next season, they're bringing in brand new writers who've never written for Doctor Who before, and and so it's kind of cool to see that. You had a question?
Paul, I'm sorry, I don't think it's enough place the conversation, but just, you said Jeff or Dave. Yeah, sorry, what you said, that made me think of something. You talking about Ncuti, going on for another season, like just say screw to the haters. Looking at it from a practical reason, since the filming is not so intense anymore, there's also not going to be episodes in between, so that could also lead to them staying on for a longer season because it's not as grueling.
And he's very much in demand, so that's again a double-edged sword there. I want to ask a weird question, and I'll get back to why.
More than normal.
More than normal.
Okay.
Who here in their lifetime, or even their kids' lifetime, has watched Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles? Leave your hands up. Who has never heard? Put your hand down if you have heard. So, who has never heard? Oh my God, Ninja Turtles are ruined. My childhood's terrible. When a new Ninja Turtle has come out at some point. So almost only a handful of people left. That's the same as Doctor Who. Inevitably, someone goes, "It's terrible," but all it's doing is reinventing itself for a contemporary audience, just like Ninja Turtles has for the last, Yes, more Power Rangers. Worse than Power Rangers. Power Rangers didn't reinvent itself. Power Rangers just do things.
It's just got watered down.
But did it? And for you, but for the new audience.
But that's the new audience with, the animation and everything like that. The storytelling is very much the same, but just look at it.
But you get the same thing. Oh, this is not the Doctor Who I grew up with.
You're right.
It's true.
Exactly.
But it's the same thing with Power Rangers. Every year, it's like, this was my Power Rangers.
Yep.
Well, exactly.
And that's okay.
And it was actually really smart on Disney's part, and also Russell T Davies, for the 60th anniversary to bring Tennant back as the 14th Doctor. Nobody was fully expecting that. Everyone was fully expecting when Jodie was going to regenerate, it was going to be Shuni, but instead you got what? I know these teeth.
And if you notice, they never ever gave Shuni's number, and it was always he's the Doctor. He's going to be the new Doctor. Never once did they say this is the 14th Doctor.
Right.
Oh wow. They also ease the viewership into the new.
Exactly.
The new.
Era.
Kind of like the Ghostbusters, they were bringing some of the original cast back with their movies, and that brings a generational gap.
What do we got?
The Doctor.
I was about to ask, so after they get a few more Doctors throughout the line, do you think they're going to have more like Doctor stories, like with 5 Doctors in the new era?
Yes and no, but because there's a few of the actors who've already said they don't want to come back. Like, I already know Mr. Ninth Doctor himself, Chris Appleton, said hell would have to freeze over pretty much for him to ever come back to Doctor Who.
On TV.
On TV.
Yeah, he came back
for audio because he doesn't also he has a beef with Russell T. And also Capaldi has also come back and said he doesn't believe in multi-Doctor stories. And so I don't see that happening. But, you still have... That's very true.
The 70th anniversary, there will be a multi-Doctor story. We'll have 10, 10.5, 14.
I know for
There's got to be a reason for it.
Well, that's why they invented the War Doctor, because originally it was supposed to be the Ninth Doctor. And they couldn't work out a deal with Chris to come back at the time, and so they had already the story overall written, and so they had to come up with the War Doctor, and that's...
I like that.
Yeah.
I remember that.
Oh,
I didn't know that,
right.
but I like that. I like him.
Right, and so it was interesting. Or one of the biggest surprises in the 50th anniversary was we got the 8th Doctor back. We got to see his regeneration.
Oh yeah,
so good.
Yeah, I'm so glad they did that.
And I would love, as a spin-off, to see 8th Doctor Adventures.
Yeah.
I think that would be here. You have Big Finish. I don't know. How many people here have never heard of Big Finish? Big Finish is an audio company in the UK that does Doctor Who adventures with a lot of the surviving original Doctors, but also with some of the new Doctors. There's, you can talk to Alex Kingston and say, if you walk up to her and say, I love the Diary of River song, she will hug you, literally, because she did 12 series of them, and she also appeared in all these other Big Finish adventures. So you have further adventures of River Song. You have further adventures of the Paternoster Gang. You have, stuff from the new series. You even have new David Tennant stories. And so it's pretty amazing, all the things you do. But the biggest thing with the Big Finish stories is you have a ton of 8th Doctor stories.
Yeah, they're really good too.
Most of them, yeah.
Most of them are really, really good. And they're fun to put on while you're working out. You can download them, and some of them are free. If you ever get a chance, you just go to bigfinish.com, and we don't get advertising.
It's even on Spotify in a lot of cases too. There's a lot of them on Spotify. There's some of them on Apple Music for free. Dear God, don't try to MCU this.
No.
Just listen to whatever you can find.
Yeah.
There's too many. You will go absolutely insane even trying to figure out where to start.
But it's
Don't.
kind of cool because some of these Doctor stories also have new companions, but a lot of them have the classic companions who travel with them. So there's all new stories, and and of course everyone's going, oh, there's Ninth Doctor stories which are fantastic if you get the chance.
Yeah.
The Ninth Doctor, but there's no Rose or Captain Jack in it, So it's the Ninth Doctor with other companions and everything. And so, but there are even, I think, doesn't Rose have a Big Finish story?
Does she?
I thought she did.
I think she does.
Yeah.
Oh, no, she does.
Yeah.
She does.
Yeah.
Yeah, she does.
She ends up with the other 10.
Yeah.
Right.
Or as I like to call them Doctor Who.
Yeah. And the Doctor's in there. All the Masters have adventures.
There's new Missy stories.
Missy ones are great.
The Missy ones are fantastic. So there's even Sarah Jane adventures in there with Elizabeth Sladen's daughter, Sadie Miller, and they're amazing stories.
She's fabulous.
Yeah, she's really good.
Someone else's child took over their part too. I forget who. There was another person. So there's a couple of them who've done that.
Yes, and
That reminds me. I like the kind of the way the new series is doing with Unit, like trying to recruit the companions. I think that's a good way to bring some of them back. It's smart. Like in reality, if this was real, it's smart. It's why couldn't they do it sooner?
I actually like Mel now. Because of.
I'm also glad that gave William Russell a chance to be back on.
Yes.
Oh, that was
such a nice
I love it. Wouldn't you need her?
Yeah.
I love that. That was just.
I mean, he was in the 50th, the docudrama. He was the security guard at BBC when they did the Adventures in Space and Time.
Yes.
And he was in that. Yes, see him back as
Ian.
Ian was right.
Was one. Oh, I love the whole idea of the Doctor support group.
Yeah, I love that.
So
brilliant.
I would love to see that come back even further,
I think
more.
Empire spin-off is based on that, just based on them sitting around talking. Like there'd be so much baggage, like burned on Pat probably.
And so part of that, which again we don't get it over here, but the Tales from the TARDIS cuts that they did was a little bit of that.
You can actually see those on YouTube.
Yeah, on YouTube.
Oh, you can?
Yeah.
Not necessarily the whole. The bumpers you can. Not always can you see the in between edit versions.
I think they got the one like with 7 and 8 where they finally reconcile. That was good.
Yeah.
And it was interesting. And one thing I loved about the last episode with Jodie was you had the Doctor Who support group, but you also had the old doctors come back. And I loved the scene between, bless you, the scene between Ace and the 7th Doctor was great. And the one between the 5th Doctor and Tegan, it was just okay. But it was wonderful to see, and I liked the idea that they aged them and everything, and you had it. But one of the other things I love, and some people agree with it, some people don't, the whole thing with the bi-regeneration or bi-generation that they did.
How many people like the bi-generation?
I did.
Not many people.
I liked it, but at the same time, I liked it for what it was, but at the same time, I think it was kind of a little bit overboard with it, because I read somewhere where he said, oh yeah, at the exact moment 14 bi-generated, all the people was also retroactively bi-generated.
That I don't know.
Yeah, we'll see if that Russell D Davies needs to never ever do an interview ever again.
Right.
That'll never happen. But dear God, shut up, man. Keep writing, just don't talk.
But I thought it was interesting the way they did that, because now what happens when Dr. 14 gets too old, gets injured? Is he going to just combine back? Is he going to just fade away, or is he going to combine with regenerate into Ncuti again?
They're combining the theory that I've seen on that is, and I forget when I saw this, but it does make a lot of sense, because during the scene you kind of feel like the TARDIS groaning. So that supports the idea that at some point 14 is he's like duties like that he's going to heal from his trauma. Right. And then when the time comes, he's going to regenerate Ncuti and then buys it away from himself, basically.
But then there's the other theory out there that 14 could be going down the path of, dare I say it, I hate this word, the Valiant.
Oh, no, don't go there.
Oh. I know, but it's possible, because that's a total Doctor Who loophole.
Yeah.
I mean, they did try to tackle that, and Jason, who's the delegate, the actor, can't think of his last name, but he did a good job with the audio, I thought.
Those were good. We always joke on our podcast that the final episode that we ever do when we decide that we're ending, it's going to be Trial of the Time Lord. That's when you know that we're ending the show. If we ever go ahead and review it. Because it's just like, we're trying to, when we review the shows, we don't do them in any order except for when they're airing on TV. But when we're reviewing, we go hop from, era to era because we want to be all inclusive. And for the Sixth Doctor era, we're done, except for that story. It's like an eyesore that we're trying to keep pushing out. We're talking now about the comic books. We're talking about, we're talking about the spin-offs, anything. So we don't have to talk about Trial of the Time Lord.
Have you ever talked about any of the stories and stuff? There's a anthology that I got from Secret Santa a while back. It's like, it says a new story for I think it's all the first 13 Doctors. 13 Doctors, 13 stories. Have you ever talked about that?
We haven't done any of them, have we done any of them?
No.
I don't think we've done the comics, some of the comics.
Yes, we've done the comics, and it's interesting because with the comics, we got a live action comic book character. Beat the Meat.
Yeah.
And he's from the 1970s.
Death's head.
No, who I'm looking forward to, hopefully from the comics, I want Frobisher the Penguin.
Yeah.
Also, yes.
To come back because he's a shape-changing private detective who was sent to capture the Doctor. He was about to put on the Doctor's head, and on one of their missions, he actually found out the Doctor was a decent guy. And on one of their missions, he came upon a pack of penguins, and he wanted to blend in, and he took the shape of a penguin. And he said, I actually like these penguins. And he stayed in the shape of a penguin. And so the Doctor had a talking penguin as his companion.
Is the penguin in the audios too?
Yes.
That's what I was
We're actually going to hopefully in the next 6 months do one of the Frobisher adventures and everything. So it's fun. What do you guys want to see for the next season of Doctor Who? We have a new companion. Do you want Ruby still? She's going to be back. Do you want to get more of her story, or do you want her just to be a regular companion? Do they have to be the girl who saved the universe?
I want them to tell us why they said she had a song in her, fix a plot hole.
That was great in the Maestro story.
Mm-hmm. That was my
Jinx
favorite.
Monsoon was awesome.
That was my absolute favorite episode last.
I hated what they did with the Beatles, but I love the Jinx Monsoon part, and she was wonderful as the Maestro. I would love to see Maestro come back.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
I love the Toymaker come back.
Yes.
I would too. But it was interesting because when Ruby was up, being held by the Maestro, and the song started coming out, and Maestro was like, wait a minute, that's not right, and everything. What was with that? We never got an answer.
Yeah. So I would love an answer for that. If they bring Jinx back to get the answer, that would be cool.
Yeah, I agree completely. And everything, and that's cool. We have Mrs. Flood, we have, we have Chandra, who's coming in as a new companion. Then we also, we haven't seen any Daleks, and Ncuti actually has come. Ncuti says, I want to fight the Daleks. Every Doctor has to, go against the Daleks.
Good way to keep him to stay. Don't let him do it in the third season. If you want the Daleks, we're going to put the Daleks in the fourth season. We're going to put the Daleks in the fifth season. Promise. Just keep going.
They did it that way. And so I think it would be very interesting. But I think we're going to see something with the other gods that were supposedly, because you saw the toy maker, you saw, the maestro, and then you got Suta.
Mm-hmm. So you think we're going to see the rest of the pantheon?
I think we're going to see the rest of the, the Mara was supposed to be one. Mm-hmm. So is the Trickster from Sarah Jane Adventure. So there's still characters to explore, and I think that's the fun part about it. And I think we're in for a huge bunch, and we're getting a spin-off. And what Russell T. Davies has said is he doesn't want to go more than 6 months without Doctor Who content on TV. And everything. Yes. No more waiting 2 or 3 years between seasons and everything. I think that's what's hurt Doctor Who immensely.
Because a lot of people have fallen off.
But you're also getting a lot of new people popping up also, which is really awesome.
Do y'all know if Disney is going to get the old ones, or are we going to still have to keep? I was just wondering if you.
No, that's the $1 zillion question.
I suspect yes.
We have to wait for the contract.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
For example, I can say that in Canada, we can't get Jodie legally right now.
It's not on Max.
It's not on Max. It's not on. Well, we have it. It's on Amazon Prime for everybody else.
Right.
Up to Capaldi. I suspect because it came down off of the service that had that contract with Bell Media almost immediately after she was done. I think they still have the rights, but not the permission to actually do the stream.
Right.
So I think those rights are still, and I suspect that those streaming rights are probably tied up in other countries as well, which would contribute to it.
Didn't Max, last time I looked, did Max still have at least, not the older ones, but at least
all the new series is on Max currently.
In the U.S.
In the U.S.
But not the U.S.
On Max. Right.
And on BritBox and
it's on all the classic series is on BritBox, on Pluto TV, on Tubi. You can find it.
So we have to search around. To get
exactly, and as you're in different countries, you have to search different places, which is why it's really great for me that it's on Disney Plus. No matter what country I travel to, I know when and where I can find my new Doctor Who. It's the first time in more years than I can count that I can legally watch Doctor Who as it airs, without a VPN, without jumping through hoops.
Yeah, but it's interesting now that there's the whole Disney, connection and everything. Getting on physical media also is hard. They released recently the 60th anniversary special that you can get on disc now. But you're not able to get season 1 yet on it. It's available in the UK, not here in the States. You also haven't been able to get the Christmas specials.
Yeah.
And so we're waiting to see, because they just announced on Amazon that you could pre-order the Christmas special if you live in the UK, but not here in the States.
That's going to be my question, because I have a feeling like with the 60th specials, I don't know the gap exactly, but it feels like there might be like a year gap with when it airs for us, and then by the time Disney says, hey, y'all can release a physical media. So my question was going to be, have we heard about season 1 yet? So
no, I'm almost on Amazon every day trying to try to see. Is it pre-order yet? Pre-order? Oh,
I have a feeling it'll be
season 1 of John Pertwee on Blu-ray. Oh, okay, I'll order that. But and they just announced that actually this last week that you'll be able to pre-order season 1, and I think the last season of 7th Doctor is coming out next week here in the States on Blu-ray. So,
can you order it on the Amazon UK?
Yes.
Because that's
you can, if you have an international, you can the discs you can order it and everything. It's very expensive.
I haven't looked.
Okay. So we tried that.
Yeah, and you have to have a region-free player.
Yeah, exactly. Folks, thank you guys for joining us.
Yes, thank you all so much.
If you get a chance, our podcast is Earth Station Who. Thank you all for listening. My name is Mike Faber. This is Mary Ogle. This is Dave Chapman. Thank you, thank you. If you all liked us, have us back next year.
You've been listening to Earth Station Who, a pop culture podcast dedicated to all things Doctor Who, featuring talents from throughout space and time. All topics on the show are the sole opinions of the individuals and are to be used for entertainment value alone. You can subscribe to our show wherever fine podcasts are found, or check out our website, earthstationwho.com. Don't forget to check us out on Facebook or Instagram, and if you enjoyed the show, please write to us at feedback@earthstationwho.com. Thank you so much for listening, and we will see you on the next journey of Earth Station Who.
Drew Leiter here. Wish you could keep up on DC Comics but don't have the time or the money? Not a problem. Join Cletus Jacobs and I as we bring you recaps and commentary on DC Comics, television, movies, and more, whether they are good or not. The Earth Station DCU podcast comes out weekly and is part of the ESO Network.
This has been a broadcast of the ESO Network. Be part of the crew and help support our shows by donating to our ESO Patreon or by shopping at the TeePublic store, which can all be found at www.esonetwork.com. The ESO Network, your station for all things geek.